Okay, so how many of you guys and gals like being able to actually go outside and go on nature walks? Is there anyone in here? Okay, so we have a few people. For any of you that have been glued to your TVs for the past few weeks or the beginning of your lives, you wouldn't have noticed that over the years there have been less and less places to actually go out and explore, be able to hike through the forest and look for animals. This is due to a process called rapid urbanization. Rapid urbanization is the process by which rural land is transformed into seas of concrete, or in this case, cities. This rapid urban development causes many problems for the environment and then the people living within these cities. The first off is that it decreases the health of its residents. The first danger to residents' health is contaminated water. The first incident I'm going to bring up is an incident in Mexico City where the pipes were leaking sewage into the ground. This caused wells in the ground to become contaminated. So then the people who ended up drinking the water from these wells developed many intestinal basically medical problems from that. The second problem with rapid urbanization is air quality. This is mostly caused by automobiles and major factories just pumping into the air. This example again comes from Mexico City because they're our closest local for this. As for the University of Michigan, mean ozone levels in Mexico City are 10 times more than normal atmospheric concentrations. What this means, I'm going to let the World Health Organization tell you. The increase in ozone in the city leads to breathing problems, triggers asthma attacks, reduces lung function, and causes lung diseases. Basically, it just tears your lung up. So if you end up smoking and you live in one of these cities, you're going to have a lot more issues than just a normal person. Increase in heat. University of Michigan also, in larger cities that are over 10 million people, the mean annual minimum temperature can be as much as 4 degrees higher than that at the rural properties. This is caused by the energy sources that aren't used in rural communities, such as natural gases, coal, and just oil. The wind that also normally cools down a given area and takes out all the pollutants in an area is slowed down by the presence of buildings. So not only are you pumping more contaminants in a smaller area, you end up with the issue that they stay there for longer. A fourth one is the fact that animal life was there previously before the city was built. So once you mow down this large area, put concrete up, you have the issue of animals wanting to move back into your cities. A report from the Los Angeles Times in a small little county near us, over the last year, coyotes have increasingly strayed into the landscaped backyards and parks of the 65,000 person suburb, sizing up dogs, cats, chickens, and even toddlers, as their natural food supply dwindled due to us building. They're using the town's trail system to get around and drinking from an artificial lake surrounded by the houses. This is just one small predator of maybe the hundreds or the thousands that are sitting in these forests before we mow them down, at which point they end up coming into our cities and hurting us. Another such issue is raccoons in North Carolina. This comes from the School of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. This is North Carolina Agriculture and Technical University. Some species have adjusted extremely well by adapting to man-made environments such as crevices on buildings and bridges, or parks and gardens and sewer systems. One such hardy creature is the raccoon. Reported cases of rabies have doubled over the past 3 years in North Carolina. Furthermore, on a national level, 43% of rabid animals reported in 1992 were raccoons in the mid-Atlantic and northeastern states. The raccoon's vulnerability to rabies and its presence in the environment inhabited by humans make it evident for the need for public awareness. So this just presents how health issues are going on inside of these environments, and how just the fact that we push things out doesn't mean they won't seep back in and attack us. In the end, rapid urbanization causes problems that are not easily solved, such as the relocation of wildlife, pollution of groundwater, land, and air. The effects this has on residents of the cities are disastrous and unavoidable when rapidly urbanizing a rural area.
All right, the structural stuff is pretty solid. The preview's okay, although your internal signposting was a little bit confusing because I think you kind of ran into the second point, and the third point comes up and you need to have a more distinct signpost on it. I clearly heard when the fourth point came up, so it's just a matter of being a little more careful as you're going through the presentation. I'm not exactly sure why rapid urbanization is responsible for leaky pipes. There's no explanation about why those things are connected. The notion that pollution is bad in Mexico City and you're going to use that as a basis for making inferences, I don't know what the pollution laws are like in Mexico City. Is it the urbanization or is it the lack of control on like you said, automobile output and stuff. Like here in California, geez, you got having just taken 5 cars for the smog check in the last month. I'm not all that worried about it, but maybe Mexico doesn't have those kinds of controls, and so it's got less to do with rapid urbanization and maybe a lack of environmental regulations on those parts. I think you need to show that, for instance, there was a substantial growth in automobiles in those areas so that you can connect it. The stuff about the buildings and the air, that's all asserted. I don't have any offer of proof on any of those points, and you need that. On the arguments about the animals, you did have a couple of good examples that you used to illustrate the point. I'm not sure exactly how significant they are. Your data on the raccoons is almost 20 years old, so it seems like you could find something a little bit more recent on that. All right, thank you.